Hey guys, Dave from Wolfhard Hobbying here, and today we're going to continue our painting tutorial on the Genestealer Patriarch. So here I'm just going to give you a quick look at the finished highlighting of the carapace, what I was kind of going for, as I didn't show a completed highlight of that area in the last video. But in this video we're going to take a look at painting the spikes along his spine, on the forearms, his claws, and the tail. Pretty much all the sharp bits on this guy. And we're going to go with a bone color. You could go with any kind of color you want. You could do a black color, but I'm going to come in with some Xandri Dust to start our bone color. This is a really nice color to use as a base, as it's not too dark and it gives us a nice kind of starting point for our color scheme. Now I know I've done a bone video in the past for Space Wolves, but I wanted to show on how I'm going to do it on this guy specifically, as the spikes along his back and his claws kind of have different contours than say a skull and things like that. So the Xandri Dust has been thinned down with Liquitex airbrush medium. I really like using that as it gives me a quicker drying time, I find, than say with Lamaine medium, and also I find I get a smoother coat with this the airbrush medium. So as you can see, just giving it a good base coat. It's going to take a couple of coats to cover up that orange properly, but that's not a huge issue, as we want to do a couple thin coats instead of like one thick coat and get over all those details and things. Like on the tail here, he's got those little indents in the spike, so we don't want to glob our paint on and fill those holes in with thick paint. So of course, when you are getting closer to the carapace and to the skin of the hands and the tail, I'm going to use probably a smaller detail brush, and just so that I don't mess up our paint job there. But for the most part, you can use a base coating brush, especially on those larger spikes, but it's up to you on what you want to do. So now I'm just going to skip ahead to the next step. So here we are. It took me about 3 coats to get a nice good finish on this, and I've also given it a thin Agrax Earthshade wash just to get in those deep recesses and just to give us a little bit of a darker color for our base coat. So what we're going to do is kind of like with the skin, we're just going to start picking out where the wash didn't settle as much. We're going to pick that out and start our highlighting process that way. So the color we're going to come in with and use on the model is Ushabti Bone. Now you could probably go back with the Xandri Dust just to give us our base coat back, and then start highlighting with the Ushabti Bone, but I'm just doing this quickly. I don't want a lot of layers on this part, as it's kind of very flat surfaces and things like that. So again, we have thinned it out, and we're going to pick the higher parts of the model, as well as we're going to make sure that we leave quite a bit of that Xandri Dust with the Agrax Earthshade wash in the recesses of the spikes and claws and things like that. And we will have to do a couple coats of the Ushabti Bone, because we are putting a lighter color on a darker color at this point. So with it being thinned out, we're going to need to do multiple coats just to give it that nice cover up. So along the spike here, as you can see, I'm just getting where the shade wash didn't really settle on the model, and that's how I'm going to do my highlighting process here. Now I'm only doing the tops right now, as I will be coming in a little bit to do the sides with a detail brush. So here it took me about another 3 coats of Ushabti Bone, but we got a nice smooth color. We got some nice transition, like there's a contour in the claw there, and so it just makes it stand out a lot more on the tabletop. looking back on it now, I may have wanted to go with a little less, but I decided not to. So our next highlight is going to be Screaming Skull. This is a nice, really light beige, and this one's going to be kind of an edge highlight. We're going to pick along the edges here of his claw. As you can see, I'm just using the edge of my brush and letting the model take the paint off, essentially. And that's what you're going to want to do for a lot of this process, and you'll want to make sure that you leave some of that Agrax Earthshade in those recesses, especially on those serrated claws on the hands. You'll want to leave that just so that it shows up on the tabletop. So here on the forearm bits, we're just going to hit just the tip, and that's it for those highlights. I'm going to go with one step further for the bigger parts, but for these forearms, we're just going to hit the tips, and as they will already kind of stick out against the model. So this one is fairly simple. Just go around, lightly touch the edge of your brush, and like I said, let the model take off the paint for you instead of trying to deliberately do lines. I would just drag it across the edge and let it pick up that way. So when you are doing a highlight like this, you want to make sure you don't have a lot of paint in the bristles of the brush. Like, I think I have too much here, but I decided I'm also going to show you kind of, you could layer highlight this as well, and it'll give you a nice transition. But if you are going to do the layering highlight, I would suggest thinning it down more than I have, as it that way you can get a nice kind of glazing color transition, and you'll get a nice color transition up instead of here where I've put too much paint on, but I'll go back and fix that later. So here I'm just hitting the tops of the spikes, as there isn't a lot of edging on here, and I want this to be kind of like the top layer of the bone. If you're going to go for a kind of an aged bone, I wouldn't do this, but you know, he's a living creature, so I wanted to show it that, like, you know, he kind of keeps himself clean, I guess, like most animals would. Anyway, so as you can see, we got a fairly good color transition. Up close, you can see the line, but like from far away on tabletop, the transition's really, really nice. So you could leave it at this if you wanted to, but again, I want to show like maybe he cleans himself, or, you know, he keeps his like bones in that sharp. So we're gonna come in with Pallid Witch Flesh. Now this one's going to be strictly edge highlight, and it's going to be very, very selective of where we put it, because it's going to be kind of more just showing that the bone is kind of polished or clean, whatever. I wanted to make it look like it's sharp. So as you can see here, I'm just running the edge of my brush along the side of the claw there, and it's very subtle. The camera has a hard time picking it up, but you can kind of see it. It's very beigey white, Pallid Witch Flesh, so that it makes a great kind of top highlight. So along the spikes here, I'm only going to be hitting just the edges, like the tips. So just to kind of show maybe the light's hitting off, I want to kind of give it that sharp look. Like, if you touch this, it's sharp, it's reflective, so it's polished, and it might hurt you. Well, probably will hurt you. So that's it, guys. Like, again, just picking out where I want this highlight to go. Like on this claw here, I'm doing just that front claw. The back claw I've left. I've done no highlighting except for the Ushabti bone on it. So again, just rubbing my bristles right up against the edge there, just to catch a little bit of the model. So again, I'm leaving the forearms alone, as they don't really need much more highlighting done to them. This claw here, as you can see, I have way too much paint on my brush, so I come back in with just a thinner after, with just Lamaine medium, and just thin that out a little bit and kind of blend that in. So again, I wanted the sharpest part of the claw, so that bladed part there, to be looking like it's sharp, so I've highlighted that. but it's just picking out where you want the highlights to go on the model. But again, guys, that's it. That's all I'm going to do for highlighting the bone. I want to thank you for watching the video. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below of what you'd like to see me paint, or any suggestions on how I could improve my painting would be awesome. You can also shoot me a message over on Facebook if you want. A link to my page will be in the description below, as well as a link to my Patreon account. So if you guys want to show some support through that, which will allow me to get more models, different paints, which can in turn mean different painting styles and painting tutorials for you guys. But whatever. Again, guys, I want to thank you for watching the video, and have yourselves a great day.